Welcome you all to the opening of Disasters, the Australian exhibition for 2022, and I believe the first opening in the Giardini today. I would like to begin by acknowledging Australia's rich First Nations cultural heritage and its central place in contemporary Australian society, indeed its central place in the work of the Australia Council itself, and extend my respects to all First Nations peoples here with us today. I also welcome Australia's Ambassador to Italy, Her Excellency Margaret Toomey, and acknowledge all our distinguished guests, fellow commissioners and our friends from Australia and around the world, many of whom will be watching our live transmission this morning. How wonderful it is, how important following the disruption of the pandemic over the last few years to be here in person again. And look, I have to say this was no certainty, even a few months back. But thanks to the goodwill and support of government, our wonderful donors, the ingenuity of my colleagues, the brilliance and sheer persistence of our artists and curator, here we are. Australia has participated in the Biennale since 1954. Venice is one of the Australia Council's many international investments and, of course, a vital point of cultural exchange for contemporary artists. In 2022, we are excited to present our 41st artist at the Venice Biennale, Marco Fusinato, and his exceptional presentation, Disasters, curated by Alexie Glass-Kantor. Returning here to the Veneto region from where Marco's parents migrated before he was born, Disasters takes us all into his studio where for 200 days Marco will perform here at the Biennale. We offer our warmest congratulations to him and thank Marco for reimagining the Australian Pavilion and our experience of it. I also wish to acknowledge the critical role of our curator, Alexie Glass-Kantor, who has brought such depth of experience and endless passion to this partnership. I also want to acknowledge and thank Marco's gallerist, Anna Schwartz, who's with us today. Thank you for your support, Anna, in really critical times on this journey to the Giardini. I also recognise the generous and valued support of our many partners and donors who stood up at a really critical time. Without this support, this project simply would not have been possible. And to the chair of our Venice Council, Kerry Gardner, we're sorry you can't be with us, Kerry. We know you will be here in June to attend firsthand, but thank you for your tireless leadership and advocacy throughout this process. Thanks also to my colleagues from the Australia Council, Michaela Tai, Head of Visual Arts, and Tamina Maskinyar, who has so resourcefully led the management of this presentation. We are also being joined by an impressive team of early career arts professionals, exhibition team leaders, who will support our exhibition. Looking at you today, our colleagues and supporters, and reflecting on the hard work and commitment shown by so many in delivering this exhibition and all that goes with it, I'm allowing myself a little pride and much gratitude for your support to get us here. Now please welcome Her Excellency Margaret Toomey, Australia's Ambassador to Italy, to say a few words. Margaret.
Buongiorno, thank you, Adrian. Benvenuti a Roma, scusi, benvenuti a Venezia. Marco Fusinato, Alexie Glass-Kantor, Adrian, distinguished guests all, friends and I guess most importantly fellow art lovers. Thank you very much for the privilege of enabling me to participate at the opening of the Australian exhibition of the 59th International Art Exhibition Biennale Arte 2022 and Marco Fusinato's Desastres. I join Adrian in offering my congratulations to Marco, to Alexie and to all involved in creating this very innovative presentation. Having spent the first 20 months of my diplomatic posting in Italy essentially as a virtual ambassador, it is wonderful to be here in Venice in the flesh and to see so many Australians here. Bravo to you all for your tenacity and your commitment. It's wonderful. Distance has truly divided us in a world united by a pandemic that kept so many isolated and has brought such devastation to our global community. Australia's presence here in Venice at one of the world's foremost artistic events is a unique and a very powerful opportunity to demonstrate Australia's important contribution to the international language of art. Our language transcends borders, and Australia's contribution to it, our Australian stories, are highly influential. The language of art, how it's transcribed and reimagined, enables us to share important stories, to shine light on our similarities and our differences, to exchange ideas, and to enrich our cultures in the process. The Australia Council has a long history of supporting international engagement through the arts here in Venice. I think you all know that. The uniqueness of Venice and the Australian Pavilion is the perfect home for this cultural exchange. Most of you, of course, will be aware of the strong and deep relationship enjoyed by Italy and Australia. And this extends, I personally come from Shepparton, a migrant town in Victoria, Australia, where almost all the girls I went to school with were either born in Italy or came from Italian migrant parents. So this extends through many generations, with almost 1 million Australians today identifying with their Italian heritage. In virtually every area of life, those who came to Italy to call Australia home have contributed to enriching and improving the lives of all Australians. And thank you again, Marco. Both countries have great allure for one another, drawing, pre-COVID, increasingly high numbers of visitors. And I'm so looking forward to the beginning of the first ever direct non-stop flight from Perth to Rome in June 2022. So watch this space. That is indeed wow. Australia's vibrant and diverse culture is important in this context, including, as it does, the longest continuous living cultures on earth, cultures that make ancient Rome, the Etruscans and the Phoenicians look rather new. And Italy, for its part, is among the most popular of destinations for Australians venturing abroad. In 2019, 1 million Australians landed in Italy. 1 million out of 25 million in 1 year came to Italy. So we venture abroad to see Italy's extraordinary combination of landscape, culture, history and vibrancy. Our interaction with Italy through its arts is deep and diverse. It is not an add-on to our relationship, just as I believe firmly that engaging with the arts is not an add-on to our lives. It is an integral to each of us as human beings, and that's also as the way our nations interact. So again, I warmly welcome and congratulate Marco Fusinato and all those who've worked with him, and I've met many of them since I arrived. Thank you to you all for providing support to make Desastres possible. Grazie.
Hello and welcome. I just wanted to begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, on whose land I work and live on, and pay my respects to all First Nations people. Sì, fior de contadini vuol dire, no, that's a big deal, you know. So, I've had a long time to prepare for this moment, and last night I wasn't even prepared. I've got nothing. So, I wrote acknowledgements out for the book, so I'm going to riff off those and see where it takes us, you know. I want to begin by saying that a lot of the projects I make are years in the making, you know, and they take a long time to kind of happen, and this is an example of that. This idea began many, many years ago. I had this idea of triggering images at great speed with sound, and therefore I approached a colleague of mine, Max Kahane, who is one of the great grindcore death metal drummers of all time. He has pneumatic legs, and I just wanted to kind of use his legs to kind of really, you know, go hard and create sound with image. And we rehearsed for years, and we've been trying it out for years and years, you know, and then things evolve. Along the way, it required the technology to bring the sound to work with the images. And along the way, we found Nick Rue, who has been the technician and an incredible engineer and human on this project, and he's developed something quite extraordinary. It's a new invention, and you know, I really thank him for his hard work. You know, and going along with this project, then you know, it's the mighty Alexie Glass-Kantor, and we were selected to do this, to represent Australia at the Venice Biennale, and Alexie had the courage to encourage this project. It's a wild project, and you know, she's been incredible to work with. She is such a great advocate for the arts, for artists, really gets it, gets down with you, and really, you know, makes things happen. You know, and I'm so thrilled to have spent this time with her and developed this piece. You know, even just being here with her now, she's so well connected. You walk around here and everybody knows her, you know. She works really hard. She's involved and engaged in every aspect, and she's up for every challenge, and I can't thank her enough. Alexie, thank you so much. You know, amazing. Really special. I'd also like to thank the curatorial team, Michelle and Elise, who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes with Alexie. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank Kay Campbell, who, as copy editor, helped make me bang nonsense into sense, so thank you for that. The Australia Council for the Arts, as commissioners, have been exemplary to work with. It's been, you know, really great. I use this metaphor in the acknowledgements where I feel like as an artist, it's a bit like being a janitor at a public school, you know, primary school. You know, you're there with your broom, cleaning up, trying to make stuff happen. Then you get this gig, and it's like you've got the contract to clean the toilets at the airport, so there's a lot more shit to deal with. There's just a lot more people, and there's a lot more going on, you know. But fortunately, the bicarb soda has really kept the pipes clean and flowing, and I'd like to thank everybody that I've worked with at the Australia Council, you know, Adrian, Michaela, and everyone. And I'd like to really highlight Tamina, who, as the producer, has been incredible. Like, her attention to detail, the great respect she's shown me, and the work. I mean, her OCDism is beyond mine, and I just love it. You know, it's just fantastic. Thank you, Tamina, for pulling all this together with us. It's a very complicated project with stuff from all over the world that has to make it here, down that canal, and it all happened. So, thank you. And when you come in and see what's inside here, it's everything I imagined and wanted, and that's a really big deal, you know, to have all that with no compromise. And yeah, I really thank the Australia Council for making that happen, for being open enough to listen to this insanity and getting it to happen. I would really like to thank my gallerist, Anna Schwartz. Look, she's always let me do what I've wanted to do uncompromised. And the amazing thing is, like, there's no OHS, there's no boards, there's no committees. It's a discussion, and you know, for decades we've had this incredible relationship where she's totally supported me. And I was thinking the other day, you know, this is kind of the level that we work at. She said to me in 2014, "Oh, Marco, it'd be great if you did the art fair." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." And I thought, I said to her, "Okay, what I'd like to do is go there with a baseball bat and a chain and just smash the wall, you know?" And she said, "Yeah, sure, great." You know, and in retrospect, I think that's kind of crazy, but it also speaks to her about how she believes in what I'm doing, will let me do what I want. And that project didn't go ahead there. It did happen later in Singapore and Biennale in Sydney. So, Anna, thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the director there of the gallery, Tanya Doropoulos, who's been really supportive and is really in constant dialogue with me about, ideas and how to disseminate them. So thank you, Tanya. I also want to thank John Denton, who is the architect here of this building, DCM. And I had many conversations with him on how best to use the space, and he helped here with a partition wall. I'd like to thank John for all his energy and input. Thank you, John. This project has many forces coming at it, and along the way I was privileged to pick up Brett Gronau, who helped me source images and to mine encrypted networks, harvest data and destroy algorithmic biases. He's an amazing guy and worked really hard on going as low as one could go down that hole of the internet to get the most bizarre shit. Incredible. Thank you, Brett. Yes, the world is a corpse, as you said in that text recently. For over a decade, I've had the privilege of having a studio through Creative Spaces. And it's a unique situation with a great community of fellow rats and artists. And I would really like to thank all of them there for their dialogue and constant support. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of people involved here doing things behind the scenes. I just want to quickly thank Renato Colangelo and Dario Bluffone, who have been with me all the way through many projects and on this one. Also wanted to thank very much Callum Morton for much advice and discussion around this project. I want to thank my father, Angelo, although long gone, is always present, and to my mother, Cesida, who is now 89, lives on her own in Nodle Park, and she's still a great force, and also my brother, a great influence, Luigi. My parents come from 100 kilometres north of here and migrated in the 60s. We still have a house there in Via Fusinato, so I spent a lot of time here. I'm very proud to have these roots here and speak the dialect which is dying out within my lifetime. It's a big deal, So to my parents who really worked hard and migrated, factory jobs, working class, never assimilated, never learned to speak English, can't write English, and they're, part of what is this Australia, and I can't thank them enough for giving me so much love and openness, and were never judgmental. So, can really do crazy shit when you have all that love. Yes, on the magic carpet ride with me for over 25 years has been my partner, Kim Hellier. And none of this would be possible without her. She's an art director. She deals in ideas. And so we have, many dialogues, constant dialogue exchange, and she brings out the essence. If I come home and say, oh, what about this? She can cut me down in a second and say, no. So I really appreciate that honesty and great support. None of this would happen without her belief and great love. And so thank you, Kim, I love you. To my two children who are here, Zeta and Gio, they've bought so much to celebrate life for. I'm a cynical, half-closed guy, but by having them, it's made me open my eyes and see the world in a different way, and I thank you for that. I love you. And I would like to thank my extended family on both Kim's side and my side for all the support, generosity and love you've given me. And I'll just finish off by reading out what I wrote in the last sentence of my acknowledgements, and it says, and finally, fuck it, I'm going to thank myself Well done, Marco. You're going back to where you came from. Thank you.
I'm a bit shorter than Marco. I'm going to have to bring this down. Please bear with us for a moment.
I just also want to quickly thank Diego, who's amazing and really supportive and being great. He's the manager here.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah, great. Oh, you want me to go higher? I can hear it. Is this better? Can you hear me now? Can you hear? Great. You can hear me. Callum? Yes? No? No. Yes? No. Louder. Louder. Okay, louder. I'll speak louder, so everyone can hear me online as well. I know you want to get inside, but please bear with me for a few more minutes because we need to talk about art. I was born and work on the unceded lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nations, and I am so grateful to be a small part of the history of representing Australia at the Venice Biennale, and I acknowledge traditional owners and leaders past, present and emerging, and I pay my respects to their continuing culture. There are many Aboriginal and First Nations peers and artists here in Venice this week celebrating First Nations culture, and I recognise their leadership. I am humbled by this opportunity. Australia always was and always will be Aboriginal land. In November 2019, Marco Fusinato was announced as the artist who would represent Australia at the Venice Biennale 2021. It's 2022. In the intervening period, Marco's persistence and labour has been unwavering as he worked towards realising something truly remarkable: DESASTRES. This work is an invitation for audiences to come together within a high-intensity concentration of energy. What can't be seen can be felt. Sound is physical matter, which we hope will catalyse into a transformative experience. In the installation for DESASTRES, Marco reorganises the equipment of large-scale events hitched to a bespoke engineered operating system, thank you Nick Rue, that draws from a determinedly staunch DIY attitude and high-tech know-how. In principle, there exists the potential for DESASTRES to be heard from the Giardini to Piazza San Marco. And what will be heard draws from experimental forms of music such as death, black doom metal, anarcho crust, grindcore, power electronics, harsh noise wall, and free noise improvisation. And I'm so stoked to read that sentence here. Inducing sharp awakening and ecstatic intensity or exhaustion from confusion, the performance will extend on some days to minimalist experiments with unnerving and merciless sub-frequencies. Using the electric guitar as a tool for mass amplification is a kind of energy transfer for Marco, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I have to say, in DESASTRES, the energy of the artist will hold the work for 200 days, every day. Take a breath, check your pacemaker, mate, because it's going to be hard. Labour, perseverance, absenteeism. When the artist isn't there, it's still a performance. Marco will not clock in or clock off. Forged in the world's longest lockdown of 260 days, DESASTRES was made in a sequence of rooms: a windowless studio, a recording studio, a spare bedroom. It will now take space in another room, this room, the Australian Pavilion, using the architecture of John Denton as a participant in the process of amplification. The work is unique, each date is initiated, and as it unfolds, it will transform the physical experience of each audience member. It works through mass audience participation. Marco's ability to conceptually bring together vast waves of art historical, mass media and cultural references underscores the images at the core of DESASTRES. In the realm of DESASTRES, hard realism resonates. Strategies of resistance are more important now than ever as we find ourselves at a moment in history when riptides of power, authority, governance, intelligence, and surveillance are so overwhelmingly enmeshed that movements of individual agency or self-determination are met with covert or overt suppression or force. Subversion and subcultural forms of production are an alternative, and that is what Marco has explored for over 25 years. During the Venice Biennale, the Pavilion will simultaneously become a de facto studio and a laboratory, a research space where Marco can test cause and effect in real time, the ebb and flow of each day. Volatility, vulnerability, frailty, fragility will converge through performance. DESASTRES will evolve. In this room, Fusinato is DESASTRES as much as DESASTRES is Fusinato. We embarked on this project at a particular moment in history, just as the world was exponentially impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, but also a climate crisis and by war. As commissioners, the Australia Council for the Arts have stayed the course and did not compromise on the ambitions of Desastres. More than a bureaucracy, the Australia Council is an organisation comprised of diverse and talented individuals who bring knowledge, professionalism and insight to the table. At the time of our appointment, Marco and I agreed that being transparent and inclusive with the Australia Council was absolutely essential and non-negotiable. This required a pass of Zoom meetings, as Marco calls them, and would draw on the depths of Marco's resilience, but we highly regard and value our collaboration. Thank you, Adrian, and thank you to your team. Without their commitment, Desastres would have been unachievable. I want to make special mention of Robert Morgan, Adrian Collette, Francesco Cabillo, Michaela Tai, who is a force of nature, Tamina Mascagnar, who's been here every single day seeing this thing through, Niwa Mabruja, Celia Pavlov, and her team, Brianna, Cynthia, Mick, and Diego. There are many others who supported us, and we welcome our exchange with the Biennial Delegates Program facilitators and participants. I recognise that Khaled Sabzabi, who is a delegate facilitator, is here with us, and I also want to recognise Curator Hannah Presley, who will join us here in September. Thank you to Kerry Gardner, AM, Chair of the Venice Council. She can't be here and she sends her apologies, but her contribution through this journey has been utterly impactful. Thank you to the patrons who have supported Desastres. The contribution of communities of dedicated benefactors, there are so many extraordinary philanthropists here who have given so much support, have nourished this project and will enable us to amplify this project across this international stage. I also want to recognise Jack and Jack, ASK, and Kirsten Hayden. Marco has had enduring support from founder Anna Schwartz and director Tanya Duropoulos through his representation at Anna Schwartz Gallery. Anna is an inimitable force of nature, and her commitment and advocacy for his practice over 15 years demonstrates the role a gallery can offer in supporting an artist's career across a lifetime, and her belief and passion for Marco's practice is magnetic. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Tanya. I am indebted to the significant encouragement from the team at ArtSpace Sydney and the board led by Chair Andrew Cameron AM. The project was developed with support of my ArtSpace curatorial collaborators, Michelle Newton, who co-edited the Desastres publication, We Have a Book, and Elise Goldfinch, Associate Curator and Assistant Editor. And I really want to thank my team back in Sydney at ArtSpace. Marco's long-standing community of like-minded radicals and dreamers have contributed much to the project's development. Nick Rue, you are a fucking legend wherever you are, and thank you for everything you've done the past month here in Venice. You have had Marco's back, and we adore you. I also want to really thank Max Cohane, Brett Gronow, I've loved meeting you, and Renato Colangelo. You're a great power team, and I'm, absolutely bow down to you. Giga Teston, our incredible designer, was invited to work as a collaborator with Marco on the publication and assets, including the website for Desastres, which is live today. And Giga has absolutely gone above and beyond in every single way, and I'm so grateful to him. Kay Campbell, copy editor par excellence, and the Desastres book is here. You can all get a copy with contributions from incredible writers, Brandon W. Joseph with a flagship essay, Kate Crawford, Chus Martinez, Thurston Moore, Stephen O'Malley, Elizabeth Povinelli, and Bruce Russell. We are so delighted to be distributing this book with co-publishers Lens. Please, Eduardo Bonispetti, thank you so much. And photographer Andrea Rossetti, your images of the installation in the book are an Australian first. I'd also really like to thank Sutton and Articulate for their work. Okay, it's going to happen soon. My thanks to the invigilators and managers of the Australian Pavilion for their key role in supporting Desastres across what will be an intense and full-bodied performance. And I would also like to acknowledge Diego Carpinterio. As the Australian Pavilion caretaker for over 3 decades, many things worth knowing about the storied history of the Australian Pavilion and its diverse projects are held in his head, and his relationship to the Pavilion is uniquely insightful. I want to read that book. I'd like to acknowledge Australian Pavilion alumni. We walk in the footsteps of those who came before us, and there are many artists and curators who have previously stood here before us who are here today. I do know that Judy Watson, Vernon Arquis, Patricia Piccinini, and Angelica Mazzidi are likely in the room. And I also want to acknowledge curators Juliana Engberg and also Natalie King, who is curating Aotearoa, New Zealand this year. We wish the artistic community gathered here in Venice, in the Giardini, across the national pavilions, in the Milk of Dreams exhibition and the many off-site projects all success. To be back in the world presenting risk-taking, experimental and necessary works of art supporting artists is a gift that felt so out of reach recently, and it's been tremendous to be reunited, and Marco and I could not be more thrilled to be here. Nothing worthwhile occurs in a vacuum, and I do want to say quickly thank you to my family and lifelong friends who keep me going. Online, many of you are watching, and I want to just say Carol Glass, Philip, Kylie, Tiali, Serena, Sophie, Liam, I extend my love. And Roxy Hennessy, I feel you here. I'm grateful for the enduring friendship and warmth of Marco's family. Kim, Zeta, Gio, you are legendary. On a personal and closing note, here's what I know about Marco Fusinato. Sharp-witted, brilliant, tenacious. He conjures ideas and encounters with conceptual art and noise that hit the audience like a shot of adrenaline. If this sounds intense, he's also the nicest punk you'll ever meet. We've been friends and collaborators for 20 years, and at the outset of this project, we agreed that being mates at the end was the bottom line. Despite many detours and obstacles on this unpredictable journey, Marco has maintained his sly and wry sense of humour, attention to detail, generosity, and an integrity that I profoundly respect. This has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Marco. You are absolutely one of the greatest artists I've ever worked with, and I'm so proud of you. Your work made me cry on Friday, and we launched Desastres in El Globo, so your mama could read it first. And once we launched in El Globo, we said, hey, it's real. So you know what? You've made a work of art. Let's turn the fucker on. And I'm so proud of you, Marco. A round of applause and welcome.
Just going to put a cape on. Give me a few minutes.
Take a photo for Carrie. Hello, everyone.
Sorry.
Dove sono le braccia?